So you probably know somebody who's told you that I'm super hangry, and that's the reason why I'm acting out right now. It's just because I'm hungry, and every time I get hungry, I get angry. Um, that is the case for some people, and if that is happening, maybe around you or to you, here's the deal about this. Why do you become angry when you become hungry? So hunger, in general, it lowers the blood sugar release. Okay, so actually, the blood sugar being lower, I should say, is what releases cortisol. So you're hungry, right? That means your blood sugar is a little bit low, and cortisol is released in your body. So cortisol is a stress hormone, which isn't always a bad thing. But in this case, the stress is that, hey, we have low blood sugar and we need to get some energy in our body, otherwise things are going to go bad. So this can help to raise your blood sugar to put you at a homeostasis in your energy and blood sugar. Now, low blood sugar can lower the levels of high level cognition. So basically, you aren't able to think as clearly, and this may lead to more primitive behaviors. And I say primitive in quotes, as in like anger or fear, those different types of things. So just having low blood sugar might not be able to make you think as clearly, and that can lead to you being potentially angry because you can't think like, oh, right now I'm just feeling a little hungry and I just need to get some food. No, your body might immediately go to that kind of fight or flight mode. So some tips to deal with hunger and anger is to have some snacks ready before the hunger ensues, right? So if you're somebody who notices it happens all the time, it'd probably be a good idea to have some snacks with you wherever you go. Obviously, if you're at home all the time, that makes it easy. But if you're out and about and it might be a long time till your next meal, probably a good idea to plan ahead, or maybe have the snack right now to tide you over for later. Noticing the onset is important, because once you notice the onset of, oh, I'm starting to get slightly irritable, this might be a time for you to where you need to realize, hey, I need to plan a meal soon. Because if I don't plan a meal soon, it's going to become a bad situation for myself and the people around me. So being self-aware of that is really good as well. Another thing that you can do, and the last couple things are tips to maybe get rid of your hanger forever. And the first couple are kind of just band-aid fixes, but realize that it is simply an emotion. Hunger and anger, when you feel them, realize it's just your body telling you something, okay? You don't have to act on them. You don't have to necessarily react to them, I should say. So you can literally feel, oh yeah, my stomach is grumbly right now. And oh yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of agitation. That's just a feeling. And just like you feel that and notice it, you can also feel the exact opposite emotions of being peace and being okay with that and being light about the situation. So the more you feel them and notice them, the more you realize that you don't have to give them power and you don't necessarily have to feel them. And I'm not saying that you just forget about being hungry, but the hunger kind of has a different relationship to how it makes you feel, okay? It's not controlling you. And in addition to this, you can work on that emotional thing, but also just get used to not eating all the time. I think this is another reason why a lot of people deal with hanger or being hungry and angry, is because we're so used to just always having something readily available for us to eat the second we get hungry. So your body is just not used to just going off and going with no fuel. And realize that when you are quote unquote hungry and not eating, your body has literally enough fuel to last for days, even weeks without eating anything. It's absolutely incredible. I listened to this podcast too. There's this gentleman, extremely obese and overweight, who I think he was fasting for almost a year under doctor supervision. But Obviously, this is a very specific scenario, and I would never recommend that for most people, but this person was literally staying alive from the stored body fat on their body for almost a year. I had to look up how long it was. It was a long time. It was over 300 days for sure. So doing this trains your body to use different energy sources. So when you don't have that quick acting fuel of carbohydrates and glucose being in your bloodstream right away, your body is then going to tap into the fat stores that exist. And when it taps into those fat stores, you're just using a different source of energy. And that's really, really potent, obviously for overall fat loss, but mainly just being used to having those different sources of energy. And intermittent fasting is a great way to kind of get used to this. I do intermittent fasting in my life where basically I skip breakfast, so I don't eat usually until about 11 or so, sometimes later. And in doing this, I've kind of like tamed and realized that again, that hunger is it's there, but it doesn't really control me. Like I know I'm gonna get a meal at some point, and it really changes your relationship to how you feel when hunger comes. So some people, this might be a little tougher to do. Play with it in your own capacities, and just realize it's kind of a learning game at the end of the day, and do what works for you, and just try to be better about either planning ahead or getting used to not eating as much right on the time. So on top of that, make sure if you haven't already to like the video and subscribe to the channel once again, as we help individuals of all abilities improve their overall health and knowledge of the gym.